Shenandoah Wellness, and today I'm going to guide you through the process of making ginger bug. Ginger bug is a probiotic-rich drink that's very concentrated, very powerful. It's good on its own, just in taking a swig of it, but it's really good if you mix it with some sparkling water. You get a very healthy, delicious, homemade ginger ale that way. So the ginger bug consists of 3 ingredients. We have ginger, of course, and it's really important to buy organic ginger root. Just because you're going to leave the skin on, it's going to be unwashed, and a lot of conventional produce is treated so that it doesn't sprout, for example, with the ginger root. So organic is important because the treatments that they would undergo otherwise are going to kill the natural wild yeasts and bacteria that we're looking to cultivate. Second ingredient is sugar, which is just the food for the microbes. I use just a unprocessed sucanat. And then the third ingredient is water. It's important to use filtered water simply because the chlorine in other water damages the yeast and bacteria. So the neat thing about unpeeled ginger root is that the peel itself, the outside, attracts and harbors many different strains of wild yeast and beneficial bacteria. So that is why the yeast is kind of the alive part, the yeast and bacteria on the ginger root, and then the sugar is the food, and the water is just to make it into an actual solution that it can live in. So I'm going to show you my ginger bug. This I have been taking care of for over a year, and just like with all ferments, you can see bubbles rising in it. That's how you know your ferment is ready. When the yeast and bacteria eat the sugar, they release carbon dioxide, and so that with fermented foods, that's what creates the bubbles. So when you're first starting out with your ginger bug, you're going to add about a cup of filtered water. You're going to add about a tablespoon of grated ginger. And this looks like a lot, but just because it's not compressed. And you're going to do a tablespoon of sugar. And people recommend stirring fermented foods with wooden utensils, just that the metal utensils can have a reaction sometimes. So if you were starting, you would have an empty jar, you'd add about a cup of water, a tablespoon of grated ginger, and a tablespoon of sugar. You would stir it, and then your ferment wants to breathe, but we need to keep flies and fruit flies and things out. So you would just cover it with a cloth and a rubber band. When you're starting out, you're going to want to feed it every day. So every day, you would add just a little bit of water, not another cup, but just a little bit of water, a tablespoon of ginger, and a tablespoon of sugar. Now, after you start seeing bubbles, we're going to cut back on the amount of ginger and sugar. So that my feeding schedule right now is I feed it every 3 days, and I'll show you exactly what I do. I add just a little bit of filtered water. I add the ginger, and then I'm going to get a tablespoon of sugar. And you're going to stir it. And cover it and let it sit. Now, you have a lot of things you can do with ferments, and I want you to feel the flexibility that ferments allow and not be too worried about rules or schedules. The important thing is that it's alive, and if you don't feed it regularly enough, your microbes are going to die and it will not be a ferment anymore. So that's the number one rule with ferments, is that yes, you do have to feed them. They're kind of like a pet. But you can get on a schedule, like I'm on a schedule where my ferment does just fine being fed every 3 days. However, if you ever are having a party and you want a bunch of ginger bug to serve, you could start feeding it every day, adding water, ginger, and sugar, and that way you could build up more of your ferment because you need it. If you need to go on vacation, or if you have too much ginger bug, you could simply feed it and put it in the fridge, and it would just need to be fed once a week. So I don't measure. I think fermenting should be a little more fun and natural and intuitive. And so, don't let anything stop you from trying, because it's a lot of fun and you end up learning as you go, and you can always start over again. But this drink here, it's a great drink to have around mealtime to help digestion, and then just a wonderfully refreshing beverage any other time. Thank you.